Welcome along, everybody. I am so excited to be interviewing my friend and my colleague, Paula Hallam, today. Paula is a dietitian, just like me. She works in pediatrics as well, and she's also a published author of a cookery book. And we're going to be diving into her journey as a dietitian and how she makes her living as a freelance dietitian, because I know we all come to this with a slightly different journey. Before I dive in, let me just welcome Paula. Thank you so much for coming, Paula. Do you want to just introduce yourself and let everybody know a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for asking me on, Sarah. I'm really happy to be here. So, hi, everyone. I'm Paula, pediatric dietitian, as Sarah said. Been pediatric dietitian for a very long time, over 20 years, qualified way back in the late 90s. And yeah, I have moved towards more freelance practice and moved into the sort of plant-based space. But previous to that, worked in the NHS for 18 years in various different pediatric roles, clinical roles, inherited metabolic disease, food allergies, that sort of thing, those specialities. And and then moved out a couple of years ago into more freelance practice. And yeah, I'm still learning about that.
Awesome. So actually, let's start there. So what was it that made you decide to take the leap and quit the NHS and go into freelance work? What was your vision at the time?
Yeah, sure. I think like a lot of dietitians, I don't know if I'm making assumptions, but I think a lot of dietitians start off doing a little bit of freelance on the side. So I was working part-time in the NHS. I was working in food allergies at the time. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to try and do some freelance on the side to maybe make my practice and my home life a bit more freedom, a bit more flexible with my time and things like that. So I started just on the side doing a little bit, but quickly realized that it's when you're trying to just do a little bit on the side, it doesn't really work that well. And you really need to be quite committed and focused to it. And so it wasn't until a couple of years into doing that mixture of sort of part-time NHS and some freelance practice on the side that I thought, okay, I'm going to take the leap. And through a few like family circumstances and stuff, I wanted to be at home more although they were growing up, I was finding that they actually needed me a lot more, particularly in the afternoons and stuff like that. I'm sure we've got similar age kids, so I'm sure you find the same thing. And yeah, although the NHS was brilliant when they were younger, because I worked part-time, I worked 3 days a week, and then I could be with them 2 days a week. Once they started school and were growing up and all sorts of different activities and things in the afternoon, I just wanted to be there more in the afternoon. So I wanted to have just a little bit more control of my time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I can so relate to that. So my children, I know they're similar ages to yours, and it was that sort of independence when they wanted to either walk home from school on their own or hang out with their friends and do things. And it just didn't feel right to me to be stuck in a clinic 5 miles across town where I couldn't get out. And as much as the NHS was really flexible, it wasn't flexible enough to allow me to work just in school hours. So I can totally relate to your story. Yeah, absolutely. And so we met back in 2018, wasn't it, when we both did the SOS feeding therapy training?
Yes, of course. Yeah,
absolutely. And I remember back then, you were working in a completely different speciality to your niche now. So tell us a little bit about how you started out, what you're working at in then, and how you transitioned over to more plant-based nutrition.
Yeah, sure. So I think back then I was working in a mixture of sort of food allergies and also like a feeding clinic and stuff, which is so interesting. And both those areas are absolutely fascinating. But I think it was through my own family and the experiences I was having with my own family. My youngest daughter, who's now 15, but when she was about 10, she came to me and said she wanted to be vegetarian. So I was like, okay, fine, let's do this. No problem with that. So I started reading, started looking at things, and very quickly about vegan nutrition, vegetarian nutrition, plant-based, very quickly realized that there wasn't much for families. So there wasn't much information about children's nutritional requirements and how to meet those. There were so many lovely recipes and things like that around and inspiration and stuff, but not really much in the way of, okay, how does this relate to children? And how can families eat the same thing but still meet the requirements of nutritional requirements of children? And through that and through cooking at home for us, I realized, okay, there's not much out there for families. Let me go into this a bit more. And I set up my Instagram page, Plant-Based Kids, so UK, and started posting some things on there. But I still had my other business, Tiny Tots Nutrition. So I was keeping those sort of both going. And the Tiny Tots was more focused on food allergies and children with feeding problems, that type of thing, and try to keep both those going for a while. And then I remember having a conversation with you, actually, Sarah, and it got to a point where I was like, right, I can't focus on two things. This is just not going to work. As much as I did love the other area, I really wanted to grow this new area in plant-based nutrition for children. And I just felt such a personal passion for it and a real connection to that. And so I thought, I really feel like I want to go into this in a lot more detail and help a lot more families. I was getting so many questions from families, so many families confused. Is it okay to bring up my children like this? What should I be focusing on? All those sort of questions. And I thought this is an area where I'm really passionate about, and people need that help and support as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you actually had a market of people coming to you wanting that information, so you knew it was a viable option to turn it into a business.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you said that your daughter was 10 when she wanted to be vegetarian, and she's 15 now. So when did you decide to go all in on plant-based kids?
Yeah, I think it was back in 2021. 2021, I started the platform on Instagram. And then I think 2022, I realized I need to go all in now with this. And I really want to focus on this. And I can't do sort of two things at the same time. And it was a really difficult decision, actually, because I had worked in clinical dietetics for so long, and that was really all like new. And moving into the sort of plant-based space is a bit more public health, which is brilliant because obviously you can help more people and impact more people. But it felt a little bit foreign to me. It's moving out of a sort of slightly more clinical and I guess more structured environment. So it's, I would say 22, I was all in. And from there, it has really helped, because if you're focused on one thing, you've got your energies in that area, and you can really focus on that and brainstorm a lot around that area.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the beauties of having a niche, that you can become the expert because that's all you focus on. You specialize in that, and all of your content, whether it's your social media posts or your websites or even your book, it's all on the same thing. So talk to us about the book. So we're only talking, it's only 2024 now, so we're only talking 2.5 years ago or so. How did you go from starting the Instagram and getting a bit of traction and knowing you were going to go all in on this area to getting a book deal?
It is quite amazing, actually, the time when you think about that. I think it's the Instagram channel I had played around and cooking at home. I was playing around with different foods, recipes, testing them on my family, obviously, and some friends as well. And then just started thinking, again, from all the research I did when I was looking into things for my daughter, I was like, there really isn't that much out there that's focused on children. And I really think there's a gap there. And this is something that I really want to write about. I'm constantly talking about it. And my husband said to me, just write it down. You need to get this down somewhere. So I started thinking, okay, I want to do a book. And that was a sort of idea it was late 2022, and then started thinking or started speaking to other people who'd written books, started trying to approach some publishers and stuff. It's really hard. I quickly realized I knew nothing about the sort of publishing world. I had never published anything before, aside from academic journals and stuff like that, papers, but it was a totally different world. And so I started looking into the different types of publishers that you get. So right from the traditional publishers through to self-publishing. And then in between, you've got this sort of hybrid publishing. So just started trying to learn about all these different ways of publishing. And I approached a few traditional publishers and I did get turned down. So I don't want people to think that like I contacted one person and that was it. I got lucky straight away. It was pretty hard. And then I started thinking, oh, okay, I'm not sure this is a viable option. What the traditional publishers were telling me was I don't have big enough platform. I need to have more followers, bigger platform to actually be published. So I felt a bit disheartened at first, but I thought I just carried on. I thought this is a good idea. Surely someone out there can help. And then I found quite a small publisher up north. They're based in Sheffield, and they are what you call a hybrid publisher. So you pay an amount for their services in terms of the editing, the design, photography. There's like different packages they have, and then you get more of the profits at the end. So it's a different way of structuring things. So traditional publishers usually give a certain amount upfront, and then they take it. Obviously, it depends on the contract and the deal and everything, but they take most of the profits at the end. So so I started thinking and looking at this and talking to this publisher and realizing that this was a way that I could get my book out there. But
Awesome. And with this hybrid route, do you have more control over what goes in the book as well? The reason why I ask that is because I recently had Bloomsbury contact me to write a book proposal. And when I submitted the proposal, it took them ages to come back to me. And eventually they came back and they said, love the idea, but actually we want you to change this and this. And when I looked at it, it was like, that's not the book I was writing in the first place. And so I just walk away because...
interesting.
Mine was on like feeding problems and extreme fussy eating. And they were like, that's very niche. Can you just make it more broad about happy, healthy eaters? And I thought, that wasn't where I was going.
Yeah, sure.
Wanted so much control. So did it mean that you had more control over what actually went into your book?
I think so. Obviously, I haven't had the experience of working with a traditional publisher to compare, but they did not influence what I put in the book at all, aside from an editor saying, oh, you've repeated yourself, or, this isn't grammatically correct, or things like that. But it did, so that was brilliant. I felt like I did have control of the content, what I wanted to put in there. The thing that they did steer me, and it helped, was the word count and not making it too long. And we had to keep within, we did extend the pages, I think twice, but eventually we came to, okay, we can't make this any longer. So there were certain compromises in terms of, okay, maybe I should take that section out or things like that. But in general, the actual content and the sort of the premise of the book and the message and everything that I wanted to get across, I felt that I did have control over that. So that was brilliant. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's your message that you're getting across to your people rather than someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry to jump in. One thing I did just remembered, I did feel a little bit nervous was that obviously from the publisher's point of view, there was no like peer reviewing or scientific sort of checking what I was saying or anything. They was purely checking it from readability. How does this read? It doesn't, because some parts they said were to read a little bit like a textbook and not for a parent who was going to be reading it. So they really helped me with the tone of how it was sounding. But I did get some pediatric dietitian colleagues and friends to read it, because I just thought, is this okay? Like, I'm not being crazy at what I'm saying and anything. So I think that however you do that, whether it's through your publisher or whether it's through some peers, getting some other people to look at it and just validate it and help you with that is really important as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for us, particularly as healthcare professionals, is also we've all got this little bit of almost imposter syndrome where we're just thinking, oh my God, am I really right when I've said that?
Yeah, exactly.
Or am I, or for me, sometimes am I still up to date enough?
Yeah, I think this is right. I've referenced it. I've looked up all the references. I've read all the stuff, but you still doubt yourself a little bit. So getting some other people to look at it was just extremely helpful, just to make sure that, and you feel a responsibility as well, because you're getting this is going to be out in the public domain. It's a bit nerve-wracking thinking that people are going to be reading this, they're going to be referencing it, looking at it. So yeah, you feel quite a responsibility to make sure that it is right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So let's talk about marketing, as this is very much what I talk about a lot on this podcast and in the business. With your publisher being the hybrid model, do they do any marketing for you, or are you responsible for that side of things?
Yeah. Okay. They did help, definitely. And I think this is one of the things that I was really nervous about. And what I've realized is it's an ongoing process. So obviously, there's the launch, like the pre-order and then the launch and stuff, which you do obviously hope to sell lots of books at that time. But obviously, it's an ongoing process. And I've definitely learned that it's an ongoing kind of marketing process. But yeah, they did help quite a lot, and that was something I spoke to them about in the beginning, because I said I need the help of an editor and stuff, but I'm fairly confident with the content and stuff that I've got here. The marketing, the promotion of it afterwards, that's not my area at all. And so yeah, they did help with it a lot. They did help with that, all the contacts that publishers have in terms of press and magazines, newspapers, all sorts of things. They have lots of contacts. I did some of my own as well, but it definitely helped having someone who has got the contacts, and so that helped me get into some magazines, writing things for them, and they definitely helped with that.
Brilliant, that's great. And what sort of marketing do you do now to keep sales coming in on a regular basis? What does that look like?
Yeah, sure. So I do quite a lot. It's all online. So I do a lot of, I try to do a lot of online stuff, Instagram Live, speaking to other people and people who have similar audiences. So maybe mums or influencers, things like that, trying to go on some podcasts and having little promotions. So I've tried to run lots of mini promotions. So the other day a couple of weeks ago was 1 year since my book was first on pre-order. So October last year, it was first available on pre-order. So I had it's been 1 year celebration, and then I had a discount code, things like that. So just running those alongside my content. I try not to make every post about the book, because obviously that's a bit much, but reminding myself that people, even though it's been a year, might not have seen this. We're always told that only 2% of your audience sees your stuff on social media. Repeating it, telling people about it, doing recipes from a book. When other people share things with me that they've made, that's just amazing. Sharing recipes that other parents have made, or little comments that they've sent me about how helpful the book has been and things like that, which makes it obviously all worthwhile, but it does help that I can share those messages with people.
Yeah, brilliant. So lots of visibility stuff, lots of stuff at the top of the funnel on social media, trying to get in front of new audiences and your existing followers. Yeah. Do you have a book funnel set up as well for people who know you and are on that journey of being nurtured before they become a client or a book purchase?
Yeah, sure. So I also mentioned it obviously on my email list as well. So that's something that I've committed to this year. I've had the email list for a while, but before it was a bit ad hoc and I wasn't really speaking to people on that a lot. So now this year I've really committed to every week sending some sort of a newsletter, but it's more like a smaller piece of content out to people to just try and keep that touch point. I'm actually working on a funnel at the moment. I haven't actually got something totally set up at the moment, but it's interesting because the people who contact me who want extra support or one-to-one, almost always they have bought my book first. It's that they're seeing that they're seeing first, having a look at it and thinking, okay, I'd like some more one-to-one support, some extra advice on my particular child. But I'm working on a funnel at the moment. It's just like the sort of been the bane of my life the last few months, but I'm determined to get it set up. And I've had someone helping me with the tech and stuff, because I find that extremely daunting. So I've got some free training that I've put together, and then I'm going to put that into my funnel. So hopefully I'll have more structure and more consistent clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's absolutely key, because you're right. A book makes a fantastic lead magnet, and obviously it's much bigger than most people's lead magnets. There's a lot of time and energy into that, but because it delivers evidence right at the start of your expertise. People like you, they trust you, all of that's packaged up. You can take advantage of that to filter them through to then going on to buy something a bit more expensive from you, whether that's your one-to-one or whether you've got programs or whatever. It's a really nice entry point to a funnel. So really pleased to hear that's in the pipeline.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time and I've put off because I felt so daunted by the whole process. But actually, just getting someone to help me with a little bit with the behind the scenes of the tech has made me realize that like, this is doable. I can put this together. Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Definitely. Oh, well done. That's excellent. Cool.
Yeah.
So I like to end these episodes with a quick fire round of questions, just 5 questions. Is that all right if I go through with?
Yeah, sure.
Great. So I'd love to know, what's the best bit of your working day?
I think talking to parents, because it's just, that is what motivates me. That's what energizes me. Hearing what they're going through, helping them, knowing that you can really make an impact on in people's lives and in families' lives. So I think that really, another part of the day, which is not related to work at all, is taking the dogs for a walk, being able to do that, get outside in the park just down the road. So so being able to see people, help them, impact their lives in a really positive way, and then being able to do the things that I enjoy as well, exercising, getting out, taking dogs for a walk. Yeah,
definitely. And that's like the ultimate work-life balance, isn't it? It's the stuff that you get from work, that sort of job satisfaction, plus being able to do it in your own time, so you've got the freedom because you can, because you're your own boss.
100%. Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. Question 2, why do you do what you do? I think you've already told us this, haven't you?
It's impacting people's lives. Knowing that you can help people is just hugely rewarding. I think the plant-based stuff particularly, really, the reason I do that is because I feel so passionately that it's a win for health and the health of the planet, the environment. I just think the more people we can get to eat more plants, it doesn't have to be all plants or all or nothing approach, but the more people are eating more plants, the more helpful that is going to be for all of our health as well as the health of the planet. So I think there's a sort of wider message there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like the deeper purpose behind what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great. Question 3, I think I already know the answer to this one. Tech, love it or hate it?
Hate it, definitely, but totally recognize that it's necessary and that it can be so helpful and it can really be quite powerful. And I also realize with this funnel that I'm setting up that it's not a sort of, I know it's not going to be a kind of, okay, switch it on and that's it, sit back and forget about it. I know it'll be coming back to it, tweaking it all the time. But I think just knowing that I can have that set up, and it means that I can be visible. I can get my free training out to people without actually physically being there all the time. And just knowing that I've got that sort of set up, I think it's going to be a huge weight off my shoulders when I get it set up. So it keeps me motivated to get it set up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is, and it's a total necessity to anyone who uses the online space, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I love what it can do. I don't necessarily love learning the tech, but I love what it can do for me. So
I think that's a definite. That's the spin on it is, okay, think about what this can do for me. Setting it up maybe is a bit tricky and it's out of my comfort zone totally, but then thinking about what ultimately it can do for you, it's going to be so helpful in the long term.
Yeah, definitely. Question 4, how do you stay motivated?
Okay. I think for me, it's one of those things. It's like exercise. When someone says, oh, how do you keep motivated to be exercising? The action, the doing, it actually motivates me. It's one of those things. You're never going to be totally ready for something. Just doing something, the action of actually doing something motivates me to do more. And going back to my sort of why, when my daughter 5 years ago came to me and asked me to be vegetarian, just keeping that why, and she inspired me to become vegetarian as well. So it's just keeping that, going back to that why, and that sort of keeps me motivated to keep going. The little messages that I get from people, some days you're having a bit of a down day and you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I can carry on doing this or whatever. And then a little message pings up and it's, oh, your book has helped me so much. Or just those little messages, okay, this is worth doing. I'm going to carry on doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. You're impacting people's lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
And last but not least, what's the one thing you know now that you wish you could tell your former self when just starting out in business?
Okay. Yeah. I think the biggest thing for me is to not overthink things, because it's just can hold you back so much. And I'm not saying I never overthink things. I do. And then I have to sort of see how we all do. And then I have to stop myself, because if something doesn't feel a bit scary, if it does feel a bit scary, it's probably worth doing. If something is a goal that's quite big and you think, oh my God, I'm not sure if I can do this, it feels a bit scary, it's probably worth doing. And just trying to step into that and say, okay, I'm going to do it anyhow. It feels a bit scary, but I'm going to do it anyhow. I'm going to give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? Okay, doesn't work out, I'll just try again, modify things slightly and try again. So I think trying not to overthink things, just have a go at something and see, and then you're always going to learn from that. But if you've never given it a go, you're never going to know how it might have turned out. I was talking to myself about, or saying, oh, I'd really love to write a book. Oh, look at all these other people that have done it. And then it's okay, I need to actually just step into this and do it myself. So yeah, I think not overthinking is a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just taken me back to the conversation that we probably had in 2021, whenever it was, and you were wondering what to do with Tiny Tots Nutrition because you had this passion and you had got to that point where it was a struggle to try and do both.
Yeah.
But if you hadn't have gone all in, you wouldn't be here now with a book.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's, at the time it feels, oh my gosh, this feels like such a hugely scary thing. But then when you do something and you look back and you think, oh, actually, I've done this. I've got this. And then also when I'm having a day when I'm feeling a bit down or something, and then I can look at this and think, actually, I've done this. And it's a great feeling. So don't overthink.
It's absolutely awesome. Congratulations. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
So before we go, do you want to tell people where they can buy your book if they want to grab a copy?
Yeah, brilliant. My book is available on my website, which is plant-based and a little hyphen kids.com. It's also available on Amazon UK, Amazon US. I've got all the links in terms of if there's anyone international. I've got all the international links on my Instagram profile on a little highlight. But if you go to Amazon or my website, plantbasedkids.com, you will find it there, and I hope you really love it.
Brilliant. That's great. And it's called Plant Powered Little People, and it's right through from birth, essentially, right through the sort of the what, about 10, 11?
It's mainly for under fives, the nutrition bit, the nutrition guide, but the recipes of the whole family can enjoy together. They're not specifically toddler meals or anything like that. I think everyone should be eating the same food anyhow, and I think that's another conversation. But the nutrition part is focused mainly on under fives, and the main reason for that is because their nutritional requirements are quite different as to adults, and so I focused on that. There is a section on micronutrients, macronutrients, what are they, where do we get them, where are plant-based sources and stuff. So that's not focused on one particular age. And then there's a few chapters that are focused on little ones. But overall, it's recipes for the whole family. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. And actually quite a nice resource for any pediatric dietitian, so you don't have to to hunt any pets on the internet to look for those.
Yes, exactly. I have had quite a few pediatric dietitians contact me. And actually one really recently, it was so sweet. She said she had found a copy in her library, which is amazing. Oh, wow. I didn't even know that there was one in a library, but that's amazing. And then she said she was using it quite a few times, that she decided to get her own copy. So that was really sweet. So if dietitians are using it, that's amazing too.
Yeah, brilliant. And I can highly recommend it. My favorite recipe is the lentil ragu.
Oh, brilliant. I love that one too. It's so versatile because you could use it with spaghetti, like a spag bowl over jack potato. You could make a pasta bake. It's really versatile. Pie. I love that one. Shepherd's pie. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today, Paula. I'm sure this has been really inspirational for people. Best place for people to follow you on your Instagram, I'm guessing?
Yeah, definitely. My Instagram, plantbasedkids.uk. And yeah, you can find me on there. Send me a message, send me a DM if you want to. And you can find all my links to various things on my book and my website on that page as well.
Fantastic. And I'll make sure that we've got all the links in the show notes as well.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.